And yo, the Sports Back Bros podcast is back on a Thursday. We're heading into a weekend of sports, and this is fight week for those who are interested in boxing. As Tank Davis is taking on Frank Martin from Detroit. I'm saying Detroit right now because last time I think I said he was from Philly. I was thinking about Stephen Fulton, who fought against a new way about a year ago, got KO'd. Anyway, long fighter, long location, but there's a big fight coming up. But before we get to any of that, what's going on? The NBA Finals is finally going to get the light they deserve from the very beginning. Caitlin Clark isn't going to interfere with this conversation, at least right now. They're down, Dallas, down 3-0 at home. Another game to come. One game away from a sweep. We've seen this scenario before. What's going on?
What's happening?
Yeah,
obviously Boston took a strong hold of the series last night. Luka getting roasted on the morning shows, talk shows, all over social media. I mentioned when I talk about Vooch from the Bulls, he's a turnstile on defense.
Yeah.
Luka looked like Vooch. He can't stop nobody. And they even came up with the new stat. Blow bys. 59.9 or 59.6% of the time, the man he's guarding blows past him. That's a new stat. Crazy.
Yep. And I tell you what, man, I heard people talking about recently the past couple of years that Luka was a complainer. And I was like, man, he's not that much of a complainer, man. Now we see that Luka is a complainer. We're seeing exactly what's going on. He's living up to those, not even expectations. He's living up to those claims.
Bro, I was yelling at the TV, stop whining, stop whining.
Dude, come on.
I was like, dude, man, I called him a bitch watching the game last night. I was like, come on, man, give it a rest.
This guy, you already know heading into this series that he and Kyrie, the best backcourt they talked about in basketball, recent memory, even especially this year, that you thought that it's definitely going to come down to these two. Maybe a few role players step in, especially at home. And they showed in the beginning they could step in. They kind of took the lead, kept the lead for a little while, then gave it up when it mattered and ultimately had lost. But Luka is still the guy of guys when you look at that backcourt. He's going to be ahead of Kyrie just because of the youth factor and, of course, the size factor. You can't teach 6'7". But as it turns out, he is a turnstile. Is this the Achilles of all seem like Euro players? They don't have the foot speed to keep up with these fantastic athletes that are just playing basketball right now. And then he gets his sixth fouls out of an important game at home with virtually everything on the line with 4:12 remaining in the fourth. In the last 4 minutes of an NBA game, that's normally when you kind of get a clear picture in a close game who has an opportunity, who most likely going to win. And this is when the Celtics had the momentum and just went further ahead without him. And as it turns out, the fouls, he's crying about what's going on with the fouls. They were blown by you like the stat says, and you was holding on to guys.
Well, he even got a cheap one on purpose because he was frustrated. I believe he was guarding White, and White was dribbling. He was all over him, and then he went past him, and he just kind of smacked him, and then he put his hand up right away like a foul, kind of being sarcastic. In a life or death situation, you're down 0-2, you can't take dumb fouls like that.
Nope.
And it came back to bite him. But, him crying, complaining, and now there's word Wendy saying he's cursing out Jason Kidd or the bench, effing challenged that. And, he was out of control.
Yeah, he was.
And they say adversity reveals character. I hope that's not his true character. Maybe it was just frustration. Because at the end of game 2, he took responsibility, saying this is on me. So he has that character in him. But on the court, he has to control his emotions better.
Yeah, he has to do a lot better with that control, man, because he's allegedly supposed to be one of the leaders, if not the leader, just based on age and status with the organization, being the franchise guy.
I think that's the most disappointing thing was it was a total lack of leadership on his part last night.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I didn't know about the part of him cursing on the bench, talking to Jason Kidd or speaking or letting Jason Kidd hear him yell and scream about the things he was doing about challenging. But I know Jason Kidd was one of those people they had quoted or had mentioned that he talked about how he was a turnstile, not calling him a turnstile, but saying, hey, he has to do better on the defensive end. God, you just can't change that overnight. you got to kind of scheme your way to slow guys down, because if the individual can't do it, you have to use that team effort and scheme your way to slowing down. And if that's the case, this game is lost, and there's a sweep coming up.
It seems that way. You know, after game one, I mentioned I don't see any adjustments that the Mavericks can make to turn the series around. And 2 games later, I still feel that way. You know, it was taking a monster effort from Kyrie. What do you have, 35?
Yeah, he put it out there.
But when Luka left the game, all the focus was on Kyrie.
Yep.
And I think he only scored 1 basket in the fourth quarter, or 1 basket from that point. And he even got locked up by Drew on 1 possession where it forced a bad pass and it led to a turnover. But if Luka's in that game, he doesn't have to carry the weight of the world in the last 4 minutes. But I think, you know, Stephen A was saying Luka should have recognized that Kyrie was having a special night and he should have deferred to him.
Yep.
But I think also they're running different guys at Kyrie, and then they put Drew on him, and Drew's totally focused. I don't know if Kyrie was going to be able to do what he had been doing down the stretch, even if Luka's giving him the ball or staying out of his way. You know, I'm not saying Drew's going to shut him down, but I mentioned this before. At some point in the game, there's going to be a critical possession. Drew's going to make a play, and he did it on both ends last night. His numbers weren't great. I think he was like 9, 5, and 4 or something, but he had that turnover I mentioned, and then he had that drive and kick out for the 3 with the left-handed pass.
Yeah.
That was a big play. And dude, he's just a baller, man.
And we talked about him for the majority of the season when we did mention either the Celtics or just him playing defensively. Coming from Milwaukee, his defense was what was being brought to the table. It just happens to be the other night he also put up some offense. So every now and then you'll get that play that you're not expecting to get that offensive output. They give it to you. And then you look at the defense that he played in. No, he's not going to stop him completely, but he damn sure slowed him down for a team that can also slow you down defensively, because there's still a defensive makeup behind that team. They're the second highest scoring offense, but now they have defense that not necessarily match the offense, but they have good enough defense that if they slow you down they just blow past you. Dallas had their opportunities. The crowd was in it. And then before you know it, they're down by 21. They fought their way back. So it took a lot of effort once again to fight their way back to get within range. But then I think they put up enough energy, and then Luka fouls out. A whole bunch of lack of leadership in that regard too. I mean, the last foul was a blocking foul, and I thought they wanted to take it away. That's what I thought, because of the taking the game and there's a possible sweep on the horizon. I thought they were going to take that block away, but they left it like they should have left it, and he was out after his 6th foul.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is what we've talked about going into this series. The Celtics have more guys who can score, more guys who can create their own shot, and they have better defenders across the board.
Yep.
So if Luka's shot is off a little bit, Kyrie's been off games 1 and 2, it makes things way more difficult for everyone else. And then now they put in Hardaway Jr.
Oh God!
They want him to make an impact. He hasn't played in like a week and a half
I
don't know. Right. And then they want to kill him because he didn't have no points and no fouls. Oh, okay, I can see the fouls. Maybe you got to be more aggressive on defense. But if you haven't played in 2-3 weeks, and now they're like, they want you to lead the bench, it's tough, man.
See,
he was getting DMPs when he was healthy. So
exactly. He had no part of the Steven scene.
I got to put that on Kid.
So, I mean, when you look at what he had done, or a lack of what he had done, but then you look at Porzingis kind of balancing the scale when he missed 38 games, came back and lit it up, 20 points, 20 minutes, and pretty much carried the team and set the tone for that first win. They didn't even need him yesterday with that low leg injury. He might be out for the playoffs, whatever's left of it, the next game maybe. Maybe if not, then I think most certainly in Boston, it's over. And so Porzingis was able to put it up, but Hardaway can't put it up. And, he's known for his 3-point shooting. It could have been used yesterday, but he was just ice cold, and I think he had 3 assists or something like that. That was it.
Yeah, something like that. But
Ridiculous.
getting back to Luka's defense, I I I don't think he tries on the defensive end.
No, can't.
If you watch, like they broke down some plays where he's not even paying attention to his man. He's not in the defensive stance when guys are blowing past him. I think he's trying to reserve himself for the offensive side. But when they're hunting you like the Celtics are hunting him, you got to put in some effort. I mean, effort goes a long way.
Yeah,
You know, a lot of people dog Steph about his defense, but his isn't for lack of trying. You know, he's not the biggest guy, he's not the strongest guy, he's not the tallest guy. So yeah, of course he's gonna get hunted. You know, compared to Draymond and Clay, who's 6'7", and other players. But Luka, he's 6'7". He's
yep.
got to put in effort. And effort goes a long way.
And you know what? I think that he also gets tired towards the end of games. Before the season started or going into the last offseason, he was talking about losing a few pounds so that he could be more agile and be in better condition. It started off that way, but as the season went on, when most players either stay the same weight or lose weight because of the grind of the season, it seems like he's kind of gotten bigger or stayed the same. And then he's wearing down towards the end of the season. And when it comes to defense, that means even extra effort. He's not able to put it up, not only because he has slow feet, but because he's probably not in condition to really be the dog he needs to be on defense, not locking people down, but he can't even get in the way because you just have to move out of his way.
Well, here's the thing about defense, especially for guys known as not playing defense. When they actually make a big defensive play,
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the team feeds off of it. Like imagine if Jaylen Brown's going up for a layup and he doesn't see Luka who comes and blocks it. You know how crazy that building's gonna go, how hyped up the player's gonna be. Like,
Yep.
oh snap, Luka just blocked Jaylen Brown going to the hoop. And, you know that carries over. But those type of plays never happen for Luka.
No, they didn't. And the crowd did try to get involved. The crowd was involved quite a bit of the game because the game was close for a little while. And then you just saw the better. Because going into this, let's not even fool ourselves. We're hoping to get a good game because of the championship game between two good teams that got to that point. Not great teams, but a very good team and a good enough team that got in there by beating Minnesota. But we already knew the Celtics were the better overall team, period. They have more players that can make more plays. And if it's a sweep, no one's going to really be surprised. I think more surprising would have been if it would have been a game 6 or even a game 7 for that matter. So I think, it's just, man, these two are it's still going to be Kyrie. It's still going to be Luka. They're going to have to be the face of the franchise, which they are right now. And then you have these other players on the outside. Tim Hardaway is no longer a difference maker. Getting these DNPs, was he a difference maker at all anyways? And Lively, and he did well in the beginning, but then he kind of like faded off.
I think that had a
Getting
lot to
rebounds.
do with the Celtics defense. But talking about it now, yes, of course, the sweep wouldn't surprise us, right? But if you had told me before the series, Celtics in 4, I'd be like, no way, no way. I mean, we were talking about it. I was expecting 6 or 7,
Yeah.
and I was excited because of the matchups.
Yeah.
I thought, and the games have been pretty much, except for game 1, they've been contested, but I didn't expect it to be 3-0. However, after game 1, I did say I don't see what adjustments the Mavericks can make.
They can't.
Other than Luka going off for 40, Kyrie going off for 40. They have to be so hot offensively. But I think the Celtics defense will not allow that.
No, exactly. They still have somewhat of a defensive identity from what they had a couple of seasons ago when they were almost exclusively a defensive team. Now they have the offense all par with the defense, even the offense ahead of the defense, but enough defense to slow down Dallas. And then Dallas also plays some decent defense because you still got the under. It started off at 218. I think they had 203 yesterday, so they got the under, at least according to Vegas. And so there was defense played. You just have the better team out there. I think even if Kyrie does 40 or if Luka can get 40 or even 35, regardless of whatever combination they put up, there are still guys in that Celtics team that haven't really done what they're capable of doing. Jason Tatum finally played better yesterday, but Jaylen Brown was still ahead of him. you still have Al Horford, who hasn't broken the loose. And you said in the last show that, you know what, Al Horford had a broken loose. If he steps up and starts draining them, bro, it's pretty much over. He hasn't even got to that point yet. That might be game 4 action he does that in.
He didn't get a lot of opportunities. I think he was 3 for 6. I said, you never know. He might go 5 for 8.
Yeah.
He was kind of in the ballpark, but he didn't really get a lot of opportunities.
And starting at his age,
when Valentine came in the game and hit that 3, that's one of those moments where like, oh man, this Celtics night. Because who expects Valentine to come in? You know, he has to play because Porzingis is out.
Yep.
But then the splash of 3, that was, I mean, it's like I mentioned the other day about Pat Riley and Clint Richardson. If they got worried about Valentine knocking down threes, what are you going to do? You just throw your hands up, right?
You know what? They pretty much could have said the same thing about Drew Holiday the other day. We got to worry about Drew Holiday. Prepare for him, man. Forget about it. He still puts the numbers up, but if he's not putting the numbers up defensively, offensively, he's coming back defensively, doing what he did last night. Not exactly Bruce Bowen and Kobe, but he did enough to where it slowed them down and it helped the Celtics pull ahead and stay ahead. And the difference between these two teams, I don't think there's much difference in terms of who's the closer. It's just that you have one team that's definitively better and they have closers as opposed to a team that's not as good and has closers if the opportunity is there.
I just think we also have to give Mazzola credit because they're getting contributions from Pritchard, Hauser, knocked down 3 threes. Like everybody he puts in is ready. You know, they're focused. They take advantage of their opportunities, and you can't ask for more than that.
You know, I don't think he had been given credit too much the entire season because it looked like he ran into a ready-made team. But if you listen to the sound bites that he's been given in the huddles, man, you're supposed to know what the hell you're talking about. But you're not expecting to hear it from him the way it's coming out with the championship on the line. He knows what the hell he's doing. He's telling them it seems like the things he's telling them is the right thing to do. And he has the players to get it done, but they still have to execute. Because Jason Kidd, as we know, knows what the hell he's talking about. He's been out there, played on a high level, Hall of Famer. But what the hell can he tell them in the huddle that's really going to help? Nothing.
They can tell Luka, hey, bend your knees and play some defense.
At this point now, we already know Luka has slow feet. He's not going to be able to play defense against the guys that have the ball. Whether it's, they talked about Jaylen Brown being one of the best, he can attack the basket better than most players in the NBA. He gets there quick, and he does. He leaves someone like Luka just standing still. Jason Tatum does the same thing. When Drew Holiday has his games, he can do the same thing. And forget about it, Porzingis out there. He can't match up with him if he's out there. So he doesn't do it. He's a complete defensive liability. There's nothing. You can scheme your way out of it, but how?
He is. And watching the Celtics hunt him on almost every possession makes me think, like, what were the Timberwolves doing? Like, it's not like we didn't know Luka didn't play defense before. It's been a common knowledge.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, they didn't attack him with Anthony Edwards. I don't know. It's
and having grabbing him.
Timberwolves are done, but Celtics, and now they're talking. They're on a historic run.
They are.
They are. But are they a historically great team? I don't know. I don't think so.
They're a very good team. I think this year we didn't have any great teams. And I don't know why we don't have any great teams. At least recently, we don't have any great teams. I guess when they start getting together and teams start teaming up again, you might get yourself a great team. But for today's teams, if they can kind of string together even a repeat, that might be a thing. But that's something to worry about next year. But for what we have right now, they're just a very good team going against a good team. There isn't anything special like when we saw with the Golden State Warriors. At least they had a record, but they didn't win the championship that year. But at least they had that special element to them. And then even that Denver team was a special team last year that we thought could repeat this year, and they didn't do it. So the Celtics are around that level of what Denver was last year. In fact, even better because they have more people that can do more things.
Right. And you mentioned the Nuggets last year. They looked like they had the potential to win back-to-back.
Yep.
We could say the same thing about the Bucks when the Bucks won.
That's true.
They looked like they could win a couple back-to-back. but no team has repeated since the Warriors.
Since the Warriors, yeah. And so I think that's a good thing. I
Yeah.
mean, if you look at the way things are, and
What's
guys
really
are
crazy, is we talk about how good the West was this year, and they were, the Thunder, the Nuggets, the T
yeah.
Wolves, and no one was giving the East credit. Look what
Well,
Boston's doing to the Western champ.
but out of the East, Boston was the odds-on favorite from the very beginning, and they started off
That's
just like they were
true.
the odds-on favorite.
But I'm saying Dallas fought through the West,
They did.
and now they're getting spanked.
Because they weren't supposed to. You know what? It goes back to teams just having to be hot at the right time. Because Dallas, before the playoffs, they were the hottest team in the league, and then all of a sudden they kind of slowed down, got a little beaten up, and then they kind of picked it back up again. And that's when they got rid of the Timberwolves in the process. Now they happen to be here, and now they're just overmatched. And I think worn out because of the injuries that they keep talking about. They're talking about what is it? Luka getting injections because of the chest injury, and then all these other injuries that other players have throughout the entire season. Anyway, through a combination of an entire season. But then you look at the Celtics, still have those injuries too. Everyone in the NBA who gets to this point is injured. I remember Kevin Garnett saying the same thing. KG said, if any team that gets to the finals, everybody has bumps and bruises. If it's a matter of attrition and deciding if you want to really go after that championship, and the team with the highest fortitude is going to be the ones to be able to pull it off. And right now, you have a team that's better than you, and they probably just as injured as you, and there's just nothing you can do about it. So we may be headed to a sweep tomorrow. Friday, yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah. Oddly enough, the Mavericks are still favored, I think, by a point at this time.
I think that's just Vegas trying to get serious action moving the line or something. It makes some sense because, we've said it a few times about how the Celtics always find a way to kind of not play up the par for one game out of a series. They did it against Indiana, but they were just so much better than Indiana that even when they didn't play well and they were down by 15, they were able to overcome it, just like they were able to overcome the deficit yesterday. Up by 21 before you know it. But it was Dallas trying to come back, put a lot of energy into it, didn't overcome, lost at home. So I can see them kind of relaxing and being, you know what? Is there some type of conspiracy theory that might say that Boston just doesn't mind losing because they would like to finish at home anyway? You know how you get that story that comes up like every time. A scenario like that, they want to win it in front of the home crowd, so they don't mind losing this game in Dallas. They got it going on.
It could be, but getting back to last night's game, it was so it was strange. The Mavericks were up 10 at some point in the first quarter. Then the Celtics were up 20 something.
Yeah.
In the third quarter. That's a 30+ point swing.
Yeah.
But then the Mavericks even came back, a 20-2 run. That was crazy, man. Like when the Celtics pushed the lead to 20 whatever, I went to the kitchen to get some water. When I came back, it was down to 12, and then someone hit a three, and I'm like, damn, I wasn't gone that long. What the hell happened?
I can't remember what the deficit was going into the fourth quarter, whether it was 15 or 21 or something like that. I was like, there's just no way. There's just no way they're going to get that in one quarter. They're not going to outscore them because they're going to have to outscore them by 15 just to get a tie, to try to go to overtime. And these dudes, I guess they got it up to 21. I was ready to turn the TV off again, man. But hung in there, and look what happened. They made it interesting. Still lost, but they made it interesting. They showed like they wanted to win, but then you see what happened at that 4:12 mark when Luka fouled out of the game, and you knew that it was over. Can you imagine the collective sigh, or not even sigh, but gasp of the players and the fans when he went out? That's the only chance they had. You knew Kyrie couldn't do it by himself, and you already saw once Luka left, Kyrie gets 1 point.
Right. Well, he had the 3 free throws also.
No, yeah. Yeah. Can't free throw your way past a 15-point deficit.
I gotta say, too, when they showed Patrick Mahomes and his wife, I was like, oh, come on, man. If I had another reason to go for the Celtics, you just gave me one.
I didn't see that part. I must have missed it because,
they showed them like 3 times.
Oh, okay.
I was like, good thing Kelsey's not there with Taylor Swift, or I'd really be hating on the Mavericks.
Oh, God, yeah. Not to mention Kansas City's coming here to Jacksonville later this football season, so that's a game I might have to slip on over to. But, yeah, football's coming another day. There's things going on there. But with this NBA Finals, there's a lot to be desired, man. If there's anything historic that's going to happen from this being down 3-0, and then having to go back on the road and try to do something, even make it interesting, it's not likely. You might as well get the lottery ticket where it's Powerball, your local joint. Do that, because I don't think that's going to happen. But I could see that tomorrow it could be a loss for Boston just for the hell of it, and then go home in front of the home crowd and just do what you do, a shorter route to get to the parade route after the dead game. Hey, why not?
You know what though? It could be like Luka could be stewing right now. Like if people are saying I'm a complainer, I can't play defense, I don't have leadership, I did this, I did that. Man, he might come out and drop a 50-piece triple-double tomorrow night.
Yeah, he has so many things to fix in this game between the defense and the turnover that he had from the previous game.
Like if he's that dog, if he's got that dog in him,
I think he has dog in him. I just think
if he got that dog in him, we might see something special tomorrow night.
You know what? And that would be nice to see, but Kyrie also has to be on the same page. This can't be a Luka show exclusively, and Kyrie just saying, let him carry. I'm going to defer to him. I think this is an all-hands-on-deck game like it should be, because it's an end-all, be-all game for them, and it's in front of your home crowd. You can't put it all on the line. Guys who are feeling bumps and bruises can't put it all on the line and try to play every minute. Coach has you out there at the top of your game. If you can't do that, what are you here for? It's that simple. You know, Tim Hardaway, is he doing? Is he in practice there? Do the shots like, yo, bro, I gotta be ready. And he should have been ready. That's your freaking job. They overpaid you to do it.
That is true. When you look at the other side in Hauser,
yeah,
Hauser wasn't getting a lot of time. So
and once again with the Porzingis deal, he was out 38 games and came back and just took over the freaking game with a leg injury. And I'm thinking everything under the sun. He can't do it because he's injured or coming off of injury. He doesn't have the cardio. It's a lower leg injury, the calf injury. So obviously he can't work on cardio, but he can do something else. He comes in there like he never missed a freaking beat. But
I saw a report headline saying he's going to give it a go in Game 4. If I'm the Celtics, I don't risk it.
You know what? Exactly. They can win. I know him as a competitor. They should.
If it was 2-1, maybe, but 3-0, no way.
Nah. No way. And they said they took it out of his hands anyway. They said they're not letting him make the decision. They let coaches or the doctors make the decision. If you leave it to him, he wants to play, and that's a competitor for you, especially with that on the line, man. Your first championship, you know, with your team, new team, bro, and you're a huge part of what had happened this past season. And he wants to be out there. I can see why, but they claim that it's taken out of his hands and it's in the doctor's hands. But you never know. These coaches, if the player tap on his shoulder and just had the look in his eye, just put him out there for a little while, just pray that something catastrophic doesn't happen. But anyway, that's the way that is, man. And probably tomorrow, that's the way it's gonna end if they lose again. 4 in a row, a sweep for the Celtics and banner number 18 going up there. And Bob Cousy, I saw a little thing about Bob Cousy saying he wants to see the 18th. He's 95 years old. He wants to see the 18th banner before he goes. He can't move. He's hurting. He just get what he asked for. And
it looks that way.
Yeah.
But I got to mention something because I was watching Get Up this morning, and they said they had breaking news from Woj. And the breaking news was J.J. Redick's going to interview for the Lakers job.
The worst kept secret?
and if he interviews well, he'll be at the head of the list. Or is that because Dan Hurley's name got crossed off? That's breaking news. Come on,
exactly, bro. His name was breaking news before Dan Hurley was before it was a known option. You know, I don't think anybody knew because it was all that JJ Redick talk when you looked at the connection between he and LeBron James. That was the talk you heard. And when Dan Hurley came along, like, wow, Dan Hurley, God, I hope he doesn't leave. That's what I was hoping at least. Stay with UConn, go for the 3P. And it turns out that way. So now JJ Redick is back on the list. Looks like he's heading the class. And going by the way he speaks and the way I've heard him over the years for a long time between being a player and as an analyst, bro, how can he have a bad interview? He knows what the hell he's talking about. This dude's articulate.
What if they only offer him 5 years for $40 million?
Now that's different with money-wise. If he's tripping about money,
no, I'm just saying
to prevent him from getting the job.
I'm just saying, like, everybody knows what they offered Hurley, and
right.
If he gets much less, how's he gonna feel about that?
That's true. The only thing he can say, the only way you can probably reconcile that, you've never been a head coach. This guy's at least been a head coach in college, right. But he has 2 championships. We don't know. This is sight unseen. This is not Luke Walton going to the freaking Golden State Warriors after Kerr went down. This is your job to keep at least until you get fired. Because, first year coach, Steve Nash, what the hell did he have to say up there in Brooklyn before he got the job that he probably shouldn't have gotten? This is what happens.
I don't know.
But yeah, JJ Redick, man, it looks like the number one guy on the list. I don't know how he can have a bad interview, but you just never know. When guys are telling you go to the chalkboard or the whiteboard or whatever they're telling you to do, and they're asking you about the X's and O's. These are former players. They know X's and O's. These management and ownership, they want to know your vision for the team, and it has to be on the same page of their vision. It can't be like, I want to win because you want to win. That's not the end of it. You got to show how you're going to try to win. What philosophy do you have between free agency, how you look at drafting, and all that stuff, including the G League, everything. You got to know these things.
So is it really going to matter if that's the guy LeBron wants?
Man, you know what? LeBron's a free agent after the season, once the season's completed, right?
Yeah.
And so does he get a 1-year contract? Or, hell, they can hire him and LeBron still leaves. You know what I mean?
But I'm
it's
saying,
a bad look, but LeBron doesn't care about how he looks. He's done
that's
enough.
true, but I think he wants to stay in LA.
Yeah, because they're the only ones that probably guaranteeing him that his son might get a chance. The latest mock draft I saw had him going at 52. I had him in a lot. Somebody had him in a lottery at one point. What are we coming to with this?
I'm sure they could probably get him as an undrafted free agent.
Of course they can. That's the best way to go get him. But LeBron wants him drafted. It's an ego thing. LeBron wants him drafted. Whoever picks him up doesn't want him drafted. You know what I mean? They just want possibly LeBron coming to play with him because he said it a while ago. I want to eventually play with my son. This is an opportunity. They may get a chance to do it. But, man, there's never been anything that Bronny has done from the time I've watched him, because I've always kept up with him. And, I keep up with college and high school and football and basketball. When these kids are little, but he just happened to be the one in the limelight. And he never came across as the kid that people wanted him to be in terms of a pain in the ass, because they hated LeBron so much. They just wanted him to be the little pain in the ass kid that they could really point to and say, see, we don't want to be like him. He's just like his father. He's always been a good dude. There's never been a problem. When everyone else is getting in trouble, like Mikey Williams got in trouble with the Memphis, now he's in Central Florida, always had to go to prison. He wasn't one of these dudes. He never really said anything bad in interviews or nothing. He never was talking about being a ball hog. He sat down and waited his turn in high school. And then in college, he wasn't that good. Just did what he did. But he doesn't deserve this shot, man. And I hate to be the one to say it, but I'm not the only one saying it.
I'm with you. I haven't seen anything that makes me feel he deserves a shot.
No. And so, yeah, that ends there, man. The draft is coming up right after the NBA Finals anyway, and we'll be doing a show on the top NBA players, the top 10 NBA players of all time. After this, it's going to be before the draft and after the NBA championship. So, hey, we'll get a chance to do that as well. And, a while ago, didn't we do a show about when we did the Denver Nuggets versus some past historic teams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that story about that. The Denver Nuggets and some past historic teams, man. That was pretty cool. I forgot what the score came up. We do have a video. If you want to check out the video, you can find out exactly how that went down and how Denver, as we had it, went against some of these other teams and how they came out on top, of whether they lost, whether it was the Bulls team from the past with Michael Jordan, or even the Golden State team that back-to-back win, that kind of thing. But anyway, now we're done with that. So what's next? You talk about basketball. Do you still bring Caitlin Clark in because of what's still going on? There's still buzz about her. Why?
Because she didn't get picked for the Olympic team?
Yeah, because she didn't get picked for the Olympic team. But then the way people – I just saw a number today. They're saying that the WNBA is on track to lose $50 million this year.
To lose?
To lose. Even with all of the popularity, rise in attendance, and rise in viewership, they're on track to lose $50 million. And the first thing that came to my mind, I think it's probably been a bit confirmed afterwards. I think the reason is because the charter flights. Those things aren't cheap.
That could be. That could be. They probably won't start making money until they get a new TV contract.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? But all these, because look, the endorsements are going to the players, not to the league. You know what I mean? These new endorsements and all of these things going up and players getting things they hadn't gotten before. You see them in commercials. That's going to the players, man. That doesn't go to the league. They're not going to subsidize the league as they've been subsidized the past 27 years. But yeah, man, the WNBA losing that much money, the charter flights and all of these things, and I'm still hearing people breaking their necks to make a case about whether Caitlin Clark, people call her a boss. I'm like, what's their idea of a boss? I mean, seriously, you're talking about a rookie still. You're talking about someone who's had multiple 30-point games, multiple 20-point games already. She's had some bad games playing with a bad team. But what more do you want from a freaking rookie? I'm thinking there were already people before the season started who were just dying for her to do badly. And even if there's something that they don't, their expectations are through the roof. She can score 50 points and they'll still complain about something.
Yeah, I feel they probably expectations were too high for her. They probably wanted her or expected her to average in high 20s, maybe close to 30, maybe splash 5 threes a game. But with that hectic schedule, she didn't have a lot of rest. Her legs weren't there. She wasn't shooting well, and it's no coincidence that she had her best game after she had 5 days of rest. So she's adjusting to the schedule, the back-to-backs. The rookie season is going to be a grind for her. She's dealing with more physicality. Her name's in the news all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And people are advocating for her, and she's not even advocating for herself. She's not complaining. She's not complaining about the hard foul. She's not complaining. She didn't complain about the cheap shot. She's not, she'll yell at some referees when she gets fouled and they don't call it, but who doesn't? But other than that, it's mostly her fans that are possibly causing problems for her.
Yeah, but then the people who don't like her to begin with, because before the season started, we heard all these players that were talking. Diana Taurasi kind of leading the way as well, talking to her about how physical it's going to be. Like they have some type of a vendetta against her, and it just looked like they do once she had gotten in the league. You saw in the beginning she was getting fouled, and then fouls weren't getting called, and then you see what's been happening, whether she has the ball or whether she doesn't. They're being physical with her, being outright blatantly violent against her deliberately, whether she had the ball or not. She's not saying anything. It's the fans that are doing the complaining. But then you see the complaints, or you hear some of these so-called pundits, and they're saying, well, she's expecting to get special treatment. How the hell do you know? She's not saying anything. You know what I mean? She's just getting up, and when she's getting an opportunity to speak, what she's saying is, you know what? It's a more physical league. It's a physical league. She's saying everything outside of what they're saying. They're just ad-libbing for her, and they're saying the wrong thing. They're just making up stuff as they go. And they just have real disdain for her, and for all the attention they've looked for 27 years, they're shooting themselves in the foot now with all the attention they're getting.
Right. I'm pretty sure she feels like how I want her to be treated. My thing is, if she gets fouled, call it. If she gets smacked in the head, call it. She gets smacked on the arm when she's shooting, call it. And I'm pretty sure that's all she wants. She gets fouled, call it. She doesn't want special treatment. She doesn't want calls made up. She doesn't want special treatment.
And a freaking coach.
Nothing she's ever said or done has indicated that.
No, it hasn't. But that's what you get when people are already vitriolic and just upset. And in my opinion, and in the opinions of many, that is growing. They're jealous. It's flat out jealousy. They can say what they want. Their actions are speaking. They can't, and because they're women, they're not able to hold on to their feelings like guys can probably front a little bit longer. These women are just combustible when it comes down to the emotional part of it, and they're getting pissed
Trav
off.
said it. I didn't.
And if there's anything, is there a lie about it? Because when you're talking about these women, I mean, I guess, the football is a game of testosterone. I guess this is a game of estrogen, and that's going to make you act the way you're acting, and the way they're acting, they're a little bit more catty now that they're in this environment, a competitive environment at that. And women can be catty, and they're showing it. So anything I'm saying right now isn't different from what they've been doing from the time she stepped in. In fact, before she even got into the league, and they just continued it. And you have these people, whether it's players or these so-called pundits who've been doing the WNBA for years, trying to justify the indefensible.
Yeah, you can see if you pay attention, certain people have agendas.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know what? If you're not paying attention, you can still see it. That's how blatant it is. But I'm not even going to say it is what it is. It's atrocious that they're doing it that way. And they're acting like that, and they make it seem like if she's the one who's causing it, when she hasn't said a word about it, and she's getting butchered, getting hacked, she's being talked about. And then you look at the little comments when you go into social media because it's the best or worst thing that's ever been made, where people saying, well, you can hear her cursing at the referees, this and that. And that's got to do with what? What's that got to do with anything? She's cursing at players, and they're probably making up some of that because I don't put it above them to say that. You know, to say that you just make things up as they're going because they're caught up in their own emotion and their own agenda anyways. But anyways, she's still going to be a story, and she's playing tonight, and she's had some time off again. It was a pretty mediocre game she had the last time she was out. She got 10 points, and then she was out for the fourth quarter. People that don't like her and looking like this is the reason why they don't like her. You didn't like her before she came. You hated that she was getting the attention. And it's never about basketball anymore. It's race first, then basketball, because every thread seems to start with that.
I just don't get it. Like I saw a picture of her on Twitter. I forget what the caption was, but then people were like, yeah, she looks like Loki from the, I don't know what franchise it is. Thor's brother.
Bro,
like they're saying she looks like a dude. She don't look. But where's the energy for Brittany Griner, who has a deeper voice than both of us?
Bro, what's going on with her? Him, Brittany. What's going on?
And he's having a kid.
She's like, how did his wife get pregnant?
That's what I want to know. How did his wife get pregnant?
You know that surrogate thing goes, but you know what? I'm starting to wonder. I'm
just saying, you want to talk about women who look like dudes? Come on now. There's a
look
lot
like
of
dudes, sound like dudes, and not even trying to hide it. And then you want to be a dude because you got a freaking wife.
But I'm just saying, keep that same energy, man.
You know that's not going to happen. You got a bunch of hypocrites out here who are full of crap, and they're just race baiters and pimps and foes anyways. You know, that's what it comes down to. That's what it is. I mean, there's people who can't say it on live television. They can't call it like that, but that's exactly what it is. And people who have any sense in their head know that. It's the only ones that like to beat on that type of a thing and who've done it and used it as a crutch for all this time. They're not going to accept it. They're the only ones that seem like they don't know, but they do know. They just can't suppress their feelings because they're too damn emotional about it. But as it turns out, that she's playing tonight. We'll get a chance to see what kind of points she put up tonight. It isn't even about the points anymore. We already know if the season ended today, she still had a damn good rookie year, you know, with the assists, with the points, and they keep talking about the turnovers because they got to point to anything. You should have said the same thing last year when she was doing that turnover thing in Iowa, so you had your point there. But anyways, we could put a lid on that because this is, once again, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, fight week. That's right, fight week. Tank Davis back in the saddle, taking on Frank Martin from Detroit. This time, I mean, you try, you know, we've been following boxing for so many decades, literally decades. And we've seen build-ups to fight. We've seen press conferences, all this crap. And we have our own opinion before any of that happens. But when the press conference is called and it gets closer to the fight, some people change their mind because they hear what someone says, like that's going to change the outcome of a fight. Like so-and-so didn't, he turned first in the stare down as if that's going to change the outcome of a fight. But Frank Martin can box. This is Tank's, this is his biggest fight going against Tank. Tank has fought quality guys, Leo Santa Cruz being, I think, the best guy he's fought so far and knocked him out. And yeah, man, it's going to be an interesting fight. This is something I'm looking forward to. And he's come with confidence. Frank Martin, he's not afraid.
Did you see the face-off yesterday?
The flinch? Yeah, I watched it, yeah.
That was more than a flinch. He was ready to block and counter.
That's what I'm saying. It's like what was it? Was it Canelo the one who got swung on and moved out of the way at the last second?
Him and Plant?
Yeah, I think it was when Plant slapped Adam and he just kind of went out of the way, got out of the way at the last second. Bro, they're ready, man. And Frank Martin, man, people are making it seem like, see, he flinched. Who doesn't flinch, man, from any sudden move? And if you're a fighter anyway, you're going to flinch to defend yourself, not flinch to run.
Well, especially you have to consider Tank's history. He pushed Rolly off the dais. He shoved Ryan Garcia. I mean, he's put hands on people. So hey, you got to know the guy's history.
He's a little angry dude. And, you know, he does know his history. You know, that's true. If a dude like that, you already know going into a fight or a press conference, he does that and has a history of doing it. when he does that, you really don't know whether he might just hit you or not, or even just shove you. I doubt he would use a closed fist. He'll probably shove like really hard, but he didn't do anything. But Frank just kind of flinched because he was defending himself, not because he was scared and trying to run.
Don't be like the dude. Who was he? He let Riddick Bowe land a 2-piece on him.
Oh, Larry Donald.
Larry Donald. There you go. Yeah.
The 2-piece. He stayed there for both of them too. And they got beat.
But he didn't flinch. He didn't flinch, but he took a 2-piece.
He took the 2-piece and then took a whole bunch of pieces. He took the combination and everything once the fight started. It wasn't even close. So, yeah, people try to get too caught up on the emotional part of boxing between stare downs and between what people are saying. If you got two quality fighters in there, man, and there's no shenanigans inside the ring, or some type of accident, like a headbutt or something like that, dude's got to fight anyway. So whether this dude broke his stare down on you after 5 minutes before he did, that doesn't mean a damn thing. The stare down means nothing. You're looking in a guy's eyes and you're hoping you see some type of an advantage. That's not going to happen. Dudes are in 8-week training camp, sometimes longer, and those are grinded out sessions. A stare down or even a push that's not going to injure the fighter is not going to change the outcome from what they plan on doing. Now, it could get you more pissed off, but if you're a disciplined fighter, man, it's not pissing you off. You still got a game plan to follow that you put together for the past several weeks and months.
Yeah, so who you got?
I'm going to, man, this is one of the fights I'm thinking about taking, Frank. But I'm like, you know what? They're both southpaws, by the way. So, Tank doesn't have that advantage anymore, and neither does Frank, because southpaws don't see too many other southpaws. So it goes both ways this time. And we don't have to worry about the customary possible headbutt between contrast and style in terms of orthodox and southpaw. I'm going to go with Tank, and, man, I think it's going to be a KO. I just think it's going to be a KO, man. But ninth round, eighth, ninth round.
That's my thinking also. But Tank hasn't been in the ring in a while either. He might be a little rusty.
Yeah.
And I think, sometimes he's very economical with his punches.
Mm-hmm.
And if Frank Martin's landing jabs and gets out to the lead, it could be dangerous for Tank. He may not be able to land that one punch.
That one shot.
Yeah, to change the tide of the fight. He's got to be careful.
Especially against another southpaw. See, against a
right-handed.
Yeah.
Martin's got good skills, and if he gets in a rhythm and, he protects himself, doesn't let Tank land it's going to be hard for him to land the left hook because he's got that jab hand, right there to block it.
But he's shorter.
Tank always throws uppercuts too, So I don't know. I just think I got Tank, but if Martin starts out fast, it could be tough for Tank to catch him.
Like most of Tank's opponents, Martin is taller than him as well, and by a few inches, that has the reach on him as well. But he's one of those guys, in my opinion, from what I've seen, he's disciplined enough to fight from the outside. I don't think he gets caught up in just trying to get that anger out and want to get inside just to get a few off. I think he's disciplined enough to stay on the outside. And if he has a good thing going, I think he has the discipline, the goal, and the skills to stay on the outside and just kind of measure Tank as he's coming in and try to time him. We still know that Tank has the equalizer, having that left hand, the equalizer. He has that next level power that can just take away all your advantages in one round. You can whoop him for 9 rounds, and that 10th round, he lands it, bro. It's a different story. And
right, and that's where I'm leaning towards or thinking of. Rolly went straight at him trying to take his head off. Garcia went straight at him trying to take his head off. Leo Santa Cruz was having success coming forward, but Tank set that trap and caught him.
Caught him good, too.
I don't know if Martin's going to be going forward too often.
If he's smart and he's fought the way that I've seen him fight, he can stay on the outside. He does mix it up. He's a Detroit guy in his heart, so he's going to mix it up when he can mix it up. But I think he's smart enough to keep it on the outside and calculate and really think about when he can mix it up and really be calculated about how he goes about doing it. But Tank, man, experience does matter. But when you're a fighter who hasn't experienced that before, you got to have your experience and get it from somewhere, and it's got to start somewhere. So your experience could start right here for Frank, and he sounds confident. I understand how boxing can be when guys just say things and people who don't know better or get caught up with the hoopla of the fight. They listen to this and they think that, man, I thought he might not have had a chance. Now I do because he said this. Bro, what you said don't matter. You got to get that damn ring and finally get it done. All the camps and things that you've done and things that you've done in camp is ultimately going to come to a head and you're just going to have to lay it out there, and both guys are going to do that. I'm thinking it's just going to be a good fight because I think Frank is that damn good a fighter. But Tank, that damn power, man, you just cannot overlook it. You just can't. But he's a little – if anyone, if you had to talk about being emotional, it would be Tank. He's the emotional one out of them. And we talk about it before the fight.
Yeah, but
pushing
not
guys, pushing that.
Not in the ring. He's usually very
he's calm in the ring, and that's the part of the discipline. But I'm just thinking this is one of those fights because if you listen to what they were talking about when they were at the press conference, and Tank was kind of loosey-goosey, kind of happy and go lucky. When Frank Martin talked about how he heard him in sparring, bro, all bets was off. All of a sudden, Tank got pissed off and he started saying things. And I know people in the comments are like, man, he must have really struck a nerve. It must have really happened then. If he changed like that, it was, people come up with no conclusions, whether right or wrong. They have to say something instead of nothing. But hey, there was something to that sparring session these guys had years ago that made Tank go from just clowning around and trying to just put on a show to really getting pissed off and start name calling and saying crazy things.
Maybe, but what if Spotafora had fought Mayweather and Spotafora said, I kicked your ass in that sparring?
We all saw that.
Yeah, but would it have made a difference in the actual fight?
You know what? Going by the way Floyd fought and how disciplined Floyd has been in his career, Floyd has always stuck to the game plan. No matter what happens inside that freaking ring, Floyd always had the game plan in play, and he always stuck to that plan. We saw what happened with Zab Judah. When everything was falling around and going crazy, Floyd just still kept his head well enough to just walk away. When Zab was all in the mix, fighting with everybody, his followers in the ring, and Uncle Roger was in the ring, everybody fighting this and that, Floyd just went to the corner and chilled. That was it. He could have just joined the fray, but he's just one of those dudes that has that innate ability to be able to just keep us calm when everything was falling apart. There's a few fighters like that. He looked at as a tough guy fighter, even though he's a tough guy to fight as much as he did. But some guys feel like they have to prove something. Like Zab, I'm a street dude. That's why he was in that mix. But Floyd was able to go to the side and just wait for it to just blow over.
The Mexican Monster is fighting too, right?
Yeah, I'm about to mention him, bro. He looked impressive yesterday, just in his outfit. When I watched him come out, I think it was yesterday when they came out the limo, and he took all that time and hung out the fan. Yo, bro, come on, man. I like David Benavidez, bro. I think I like him more now because he seems genuine. Seriously, man. The way he came out, he took all that time to sign autographs, take pictures, from the time he got out the limo till he got into that damn room. It took forever, but he didn't care, bro. He was like, these are my people, man. Then he came in there and shouted them out, yo, bro. I think I got another one here. For real, man, yo. And he looked good body-wise. Going up to light heavyweight, he was a big super middleweight. He looked good in his outfit. Now, the weigh is going to be a different story tomorrow, but looks like he's ready to rock, man. And in fact, I was watching that before we did the show. He and his opponent were talking and going through it. But I didn't get to his part yet. His father was speaking. But yeah, David Benavidez, man.
Yeah, he was on first take.
And you can believe it.
Yeah, he was on First Take this morning and saying that since he can't get the fight with Canelo, it's time for him to campaign at 175. And he said whether it's Beterbiev or Bivol or both, he wants all the belts.
That's what he said. They asked him the other night about something like that. He was like, yo, bro, I'm going to dominate between 168 and 175. And right. He said, and I can believe him. There's certain fighters when they say something, you can believe it. When Bud says something, I'm not questioning it. It's getting to the point that when Benavidez says he wants to fight, bro, you have no reason to question him. No reason.
Right. And I don't know if he'll beat Bivol or Beterbiev.
But he will fight those guys.
I know he'll get in the ring with them.
Right.
Yeah.
He ain't going to be waiting until these guys get old. If the opportunity's there and the money's right, they treat them right. I don't see him. If the contract is there, it's getting signed. That's what I think with either guy.
Something else I saw him say, he was talking, they always ask him about Canelo. Why do you think he's ducking? Why won't he fight you? Blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But he was talking about him getting busted for performance-enhancing drugs. Yeah. And he says, man, they blamed it on the meat. He goes, I have it on good authority that for it to show up in your body, you would have to eat the entire cow, the whole cow, not just one steak. Not one steak or two tacos. Right. You have to eat the whole cow for it to show up. I don't
you know. What? But you know what? Oscar's complicit too, because that was his guy at the time. He's trying to defend him, and now he's not his friend anymore. Oscar had a whole lot to say that we are kind of speculated on in the past anyway. And now you saw the latest thing that Oscar was talking about, how you're afraid of David Benavidez, but you're not my
Oscar,
partner.
Oscar dogged his mom on his own
That's
documentary.
why
So
I can't
fuck
do it, Oscar, like I used to. After he threw his mom under the bus, like what, about almost a year ago, like last summer?
Yeah, whenever that documentary came out, man.
When he did that, man, I was like, bro, I always liked Oscar too, man. But after that, I was like, bro, I can't deal with that, man. Nah, you threw your mom under the bus, you're not even here. Come on, man. You built a big piece of your legacy on your mom.
It was on that story, yeah.
Yeah, your mom was gold medal having cancer, bro, man. And this is how you come back. No amount of drugs or alcohol should make you be able to say some nonsense like that about your mom, bro. Come on, man. Not even about your damn father. You had all the things to say about your father, looking for his approval in the Trinidad first. The first time he gave me his approval, and I lost. And you was talking about that. So now we have to believe that either.
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like he spoke more highly of his father than he did his mother.
Yeah, but now throw his mom under the bus like that. That was unexpected. But if he can live with it, I guess we got to live with it. Just got to change our minds about him. If you had him in a positive light and kind of change it to the pejorative now.
See, I was always on the other camp. You just starting to join me now.
Man, I didn't expect anything like that from Oscar because, as a fighter, this guy gave everything he had. I mean, his resume is still one of the best resumes in the past 25 years, what he had done in the ring. He didn't duck anybody. I know people say Winky Wright, bro. He did enough against top fighters that he could get a pass against Winky Wright. Just like freaking Sugar Ray Leonard, they talk about being scared of Aaron Pryor. Yeah, you're scared of Aaron Pryor, but you end up fighting Duran, Hearns, Benitez, and freaking Hagler. The hell out of here. He's not afraid of damn Pryor. But anyways, that's going to be it. Well, there'll be an NBA final or even a finale tomorrow on a Friday. Could be a sweep. If not the sweep, they'll be playing on Monday. And we'll get a chance to check that game out. But until then, we'll have to find out. We'll have another.
Now, I just got to say one thing because you may not have seen it, but I put it on Facebook page. There's a picture of Dak at the game with the Mavericks gear, and they blamed him, or they're saying this sums up the Mavericks finals.
Yeah, they have to Dak at the game, man. Bro, they can't get enough of Dak. They just keep getting at him, man. But yeah, and the NFL coming up, so you have more news percolating about the NFL, and that'll be coming up big time starting next month. We already know that, but we know the storylines and all those things are going to happen. Aaron Rodgers didn't show up to camp the other day, mini camp, or mandatory camp at that. But he had another appointment beforehand. Yeah, but he had an appointment.
He knew when the mini camp was.
But depends, because if he made the schedule like in December, but you should expect mini camp to be around that time. Come on.
Hello.
Because when the camps came out,
he's only been in the league 20 seasons.
Yeah, right. I don't know when his camp is coming on. They don't normally do it on this Sunday. Let me do this. They don't normally do it on this Wednesday. Let me try this. But yeah, but anyways, he's back in camp now. They claim he's on the same page, so we'll see what happens there. So Rashee Rice from Kansas City, he came back a couple of days ago talking about how much he learned in the offseason. Like what? You learned about bail and post bail and all that crap. Come on, what did you learn, man? You should have done what you did to get that pot to begin with.
Chiefs offense is gonna be scary.
Sick, man.
Hollywood Brown, Worthy, man.
Bro, if they work out in camp, they come here to Jacksonville, so that's probably a game I'm going to go to just to see that speed firsthand. I mean, come on, I've seen Tyreek Hill, but we got to get a chance to see this cat and see what it's really all about if he turns out to be that kind of a player. But if nothing else, you still got to see Mahomes. Mahomes is still going to be out there. True. Anyway, he's Bias. I'm Trav, and the Sports Bag Bros podcast is coming to an end on a Thursday. We'll see you again on Monday after this weekend of sports, including the fight. Now, is it big or small? We'll find that out, but we'll talk about it on Monday. Regardless, until next time, deuces.
Adios.